Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Honor the Feminine podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Ledford, and today we're stepping into another bonus video. So this is our third bonus video, and so Ava Aldinolfi is here with me. Hi, Ava.
Hey.
So we have gotten such a beautiful response from our first two bonus episodes on boundaries and on being seen that we've just really been feeling into what's coming up. And so today we're going to drop into honing our intuition and our body as a pendulum for really feeling the yes and no in life. So I'll let you kick it off. How does that show up for you? Like the intuition and the yes and no?
Oh, that feels so big. I actually want to start, and I might have shared this story already in the boundaries episode, I think, about the pendulum, like the actual pendulum necklace that we were gifted at a retreat. And that really helping me learn discernment. So I'd already kind of had this idea around using my body as a pendulum. And that was a really beautiful practice. But because my boundaries weren't super clear, the way I felt my intuition and my inner pendulum also could feel a little unclear because sometimes it wasn't just me I was feeling. So getting that necklace and using an actual magical tool, a pendulum, a crystal, that was connected to my energy, that would show me the yes and show me the no, I could start to drop into discernment and feeling also how my body was feeling at that time. And almost like that, so this is coming up too. I don't know if you've ever like gone shopping with like a family member or a friend or whatever, or even just asking their opinion on something. You're like, so should I get the red dress or the blue dress? And then they tell you the red dress and you're like, nope, I want the blue dress. And then like, well, why did you ask my opinion? And it's like, well, you still really helped me out because when you said red, it was really clear to me that it wasn't the red one.
So
like that.
Can we talk about for just a second before we move on too far around how you go about attuning to a pendulum, like what that process looks like as a jumping off point? Totally.
So you connect with it as you would with any sacred object, first of all, like getting to know it, saying a nice little hello. And then it's really, you get to speak to it and ask it very clearly to show you what does a yes look like. And it shows you. And it looks different for everybody. My yes moves back and forth, towards my heart and away from my heart. And I tend to do it around my heart space, which I didn't really realize before. And then my no, and then I ask it, okay, show me no. And the no is, it does not move. It has no interest in moving. And I know that's different for you, actually. Yours shows up differently.
Yeah. So for me, I start with questions that I am very clearly a yes or no to. So the first question may be, is my name Shannon? Which is an obvious yes. And mine actually moves the same way yours does, which is back and forth. And my no question is always actually, do I like olives? Because I don't like olives. It's one of the foods that I just don't like. And so mine goes in a circle. When a counterclockwise circle when it's a no.
For your no.
Yeah, for my no. And everyone's is different. And that's sort of the beauty of this, is that we all have intuition. Our bodies are all pendulums. But it's just about attuning to what your yes is and what your no is, because that's what's unique. We all have access. It's actually our divine right to access our intuition. But it's around the practice of using it. I mean, I think of it very much as a muscle that we use and it gets stronger. And again, it's not unique to me to be able to attune to mine. Everyone can. But how you do is often unique to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is. It's even without the actual physical pendulum, because again, you have it within yourself, just asking these questions of yourself and noticing how your body responds. And even when you're interacting with someone and they're asking you, to spend time with them or to go somewhere with them or to participate in something, like your body does have a response. And so just being really aware of how our bodies are super smart. There's so much wisdom in here. I like to say that my body's smarter than me, like meaning my head.
For sure. But we spend a lot of time being disconnected.
Right. And so the more I can drop into my body and notice the sensations, and those sensations are the information, like that's the language that my body is speaking. So really honing in and noticing, even if it's just, and sometimes it's really subtle. And maybe it's like a contraction or a tightness when it's a no. That's normally what a no would feel like for me, some sort of tightness or contraction somewhere in my body. And a yes, generally has like a lighter feeling, a more expansive and open feeling, or a lighting up. And I feel like it can occur in different areas of the body too. So, sometimes, especially if it's a no, it's going to generally be like in my throat or my solar plexus, depending on what's going on. So it's really just, like you said, it's like a muscle. It's a practice of almost like mindfulness too, right? So just taking the time to notice, what does this feel like? And not only practicing with, when people are asking things of you, but start asking things of yourself. Like I had a practice for a while. It was literally just like, what do you desire? What do you want to do right now? And looking for what that answer was when I'm just in my own energy and not in the energy of others. And right now my practice is I have an alarm that goes off on my phone twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. And the question is, what does my pussy desire? So I ask her. And it's amazing. I was actually with my partner and I had shared with him that I have this. And he was like, oh, what does it desire? And I was like, you know what? The fact that we're just asking her lights her up. Like gorgeous. She just loves that we're communing with her and that she has a voice, because she does. Like she's an essential part of my body and my power and my intuition. And when I invite her to the conversation, she gets really excited.
I'm going to dovetail on that a bit and talk about, I work with guides, and so they give me messages. And so one of my newer guides is Eros. And when I asked him how he was going to communicate with me, he said pussy sensations. And I was like, pussy sensations? And he's like, yes. And so there is that, again, creating more communion with our pussy. And I just want to be clear, because this question has come up as I've started to talk about that, around what if you don't have a cervix or a uterus or, portions of your yoni or pussy. And that does not cut you off from the wisdom of it. You can also speak into someone who's transgender and all of these things, right? Like, it is not about that. Right. It's not about the actual physical parts. It's about the wisdom that's housed there.
In that energy center.
Yeah.
It's an energy center.
That's right. That's it.
So it's more the energy center, and we just tend to associate that energy center with sexual organs and being a creative space, and so like a place of creation. And so we don't need those specific organs for the creation process. It's the energy center. It's the energy there that is the creator, and communing with our ability to create is super potent.
Yeah. It's interesting, as I've dropped in with my intuition, when I was a corporate lawyer in Manhattan, that part of me wasn't valued, right? Mm-hmm. The intuitive part. So when it doesn't have any value in the realm in which you're playing or spending a lot of time, for me, it then went into a corner. So when I started to travel and get out in the world and the chaos and the expectations of the day-to-day fell away, I started to hear her whisper again. And then when I was out in the world, like we would be in communion with each other. And then I would come back, and it took me a lot of years to really integrate that. And really the attention over the last couple of years, maybe about the last 3 years of really being attentive to that integration has changed everything. So when I'm a no, I feel the constriction mostly around my solar plexus. And when I'm a yes, it's a tingling in the back between my shoulder blades. And that's the way it shows up right now. And so, and the way I'm attuned to it. But you're so right about, for me, it's around pausing to connect, to feel what's really going on, what's really true.
Yeah.
And I can so easily get into the fast-paced fullness of my life.
Yeah, it's like if we are moving so quickly and creating all this noise in our life, then we can't hear, which is actually bringing up, since you brought up guides, an interesting sort of little fun ditty for me. So as a lot of the people in my life that I love have been getting connected to their guides, I'm like, why won't my guides talk to me? Why are they talking? What's wrong with me? Why am I not connecting to my guides? And I was talking to a sister, and I know too that like we, just as Eros communicates with you differently than your other guide, like we all have different ways of listening. But since you're talking about the silence, this feels potent right now. I was talking to a sister and sharing this, and she was like, well, you know what it's like? It's like being in a really loud coffee shop. And I was like, oh God, I can't handle that. I need silence. And I was like, and you know what? I have silence. Like my guides, I need the silence to quote unquote hear them. So I don't have so much the clairaudience. But yes, I'm connected to my guides and they are speaking to me, but it's not in our language. And so just as we're speaking about this silence, it's necessary for me in my intuition and my connection to my guides in so many different ways. Like I need them to not, and when they need to be loud, they will. Like I have had, something screamed at me before for sure. Like, no, what are you doing? And that actually, this actually feels appropriate. So I'm going to go with it. That story actually is, I was going to have an IUD inserted. So that goes inside your cervix. And I just didn't want to have to care about birth control. And I was like, this seems like the healthiest version. No hormones, can do copper. And I also always kind of had this knowing, I don't know about a foreign thing inside of my body. She's not going to like that. She meaning my pussy. And she didn't. And I didn't listen. I went to my appointment. I'm on the table and she is screaming at me, you don't have to do this. Do not do this. And so again, I don't hear, but this time, she was like, okay, now I have to get noisy because this is not okay. And I actually went through with the procedure. It did end up coming to completion because my body was a no. My body made it so that the device was not able to fit because she was like, you're not getting in here. I'm sorry. You are not welcome. She's apparently screaming at you doesn't matter. So I just physically will not make this possible. Which I think is lovely. Thank you, because I can't even imagine. And I think it's fine for people who do have an IUD, but my body was a huge no to it. And so my body did everything in its power to make me aware of that now.
Yeah, and it's not about determining if that's a no for me or for anyone else who's listening. It's about listening to your body.
Your body. Yes, your body. And she will scream loudly at you if you need her to.
Yeah, so for those of you where guides feels like it's a little bit out there, I want to speak into that for just a second. My experience of it is that my guides always have my highest good in mind for me, even when I don't like the message. Mm-hmm. And again, if it feels a little bit out there, it's very much like the intuition, right? For me, it intertwines. And so just as your intuition is your divine right, communication with your guides who have your highest good in mind for you is also your divine right. But again, it's unique to everyone how they hear or feel it. So Ava spoke into clairaudient, where you hear your guides. There's clairvoyant, where you see. There's clairsentient, where you feel. That's mostly actually how I get my messages. And then I have sisters who really get their messages through their dreams. That's not a very big access point for me. Our friend Taria Ward would say it's an access point for everyone. But it's not my highest access point in this moment, at least. It's not my portal to that communication in this moment. And so, yeah, I just really wanted to speak into if that felt a little out there for you. Because, a few months ago, it felt a little out there to me too. But it's become such a beautiful communing and relationship with myself. And part of that I speak around feeling held by something larger than just me. And there's something really beautiful about that. And, one of our mentors, Amy Tetsumi, who we adore, she talks about knocking on the door for her guides and being in communion with them a lot. And that just feels really beautiful. And there's also the relationship with, right? You can have a healthy relationship with. So I wanted to just speak into all of that. Yeah.
Yes, it can be scary. I also want to piggyback on that just a little bit and saying that, because even like for you and I feel like we're pretty tapped into a lot of magical things. Like we do the oracle cards and, so many of these practices. But yeah, it was like we went into this guide work and it was like, oh, wow, what's this? This is a little scary. And then also for those of you that maybe guides doesn't feel right yet or not at all, just also asking like you're communing with your higher self. So like your higher knowing. I was with a sister yesterday and the way she was speaking, it sounded like she was speaking about a guide that talked to her. And what she named this was her highest, most authentic self. And I thought that was equally beautiful because that's what's true for her. So she was recognizing this piece of her at a certain point in her life, and she's allowing that part of herself to help guide her. And so I think that's also a really beautiful way to step in if that feels good for any of you.
Yeah, and another way that I'm playing with it a bit, and this is very new, is my daughter is 4. And so it's around helping her to feel into like how she feels in her body about something, right? Like, oh, how do you feel in your belly about that? Does that feel good? Does it feel not good? Right? So that she starts to hone her relationship with her intuition as well. And her body messages. And that's really new for us. Because I've been looking for that way to translate it, right? Because I feel like as kids, we had all of this communication and knowing, and we were really tuned in and tapped into it. But then along the way, we lost it. And so I want her to have a space where she knows that it's valued.
Yeah, definitely. Cause it's like, yeah, she's already in it. Like she just lives there. So now it's more just like, yeah, helping her like give language to it. And like allowing her to feel really safe so that she doesn't, disconnect from it, because so many of us were made to feel those you're crazy.
Well, yeah, it's your divine right. But because we get disconnected from our bodies and because there's all this conditioning, many of us have stepped away.
Yeah.
And it's taken a number of years to not only hear the whispers. I mean, I did a majority of my traveling, like, 7 to 14 years ago. Right. And so it took some time and it was a process where it was continuing to be honed. Right. But that really deep relationship that is continuing to progress and grow and expand. And it feels like collectively we're in a place where it is being more valued. And so that journey back can be quicker than maybe mine was over the last 15 years, right?
Yeah. And so this is a little unrelated. I'm going back, but something else that Amy, I feel like, really gifted us is saying, I know you might think that you're making it up.
Oh,
you're not making it up.
Martha Beck talks about that too. Like, what if it's not your imagination? Like, what if it's just real? What if it just is? And she has some gorgeous things around that too. So it's coming, I love it too when it's coming from, a number of different angles from the women I really respect.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that. Like, that's and even like tapping into since you said imagination, I think that's also a really great place to start too. Like, you know, finding some time to sit, and you can even think of it as like daydreaming or visualizing, and just that's the, which Claire?
Oh, Voyant.
Voyant. Oh, yeah. So seeing, so really feeling into that, like playing with your imagination. And then what you'll notice, or at least what I have noticed, is that the movie keeps playing, but you're not like doing much.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so that is a practice in clairvoyance, I would say, or, you know, maybe like a place to start and just really feel like, you know, that it's coming from somewhere. Like, all of this information comes from somewhere. So just allowing it to unfold. I have a dear sister, Elle North, who, you know, I love. She's like, I feel like the queen of teaching intuition sometimes. And I know even one of the games that she offers, and I'm sure it's fine that I'm sharing this, is even just, like when you're playing music, noticing if you can like guess like the next song, like if it's on shuffle or you're listening to a radio. So just like different, like making it really playful too.
Yeah.
Because it's so feminine. So we're not striving to be intuitive, right? We're not working hard to be intuitive. Like, that's not how it comes. So
yeah. Simone Wright, who wrote, First Intelligence, which is about your intuition being your first intelligence. She really talks about playing, with the easy stuff, like what grocery line's going to move faster. And what lane of traffic, right? And really being playful with it, because you hone and strengthen that muscle in the easy things. So then when the bigger decisions in your life come about, you have a sense.
Yeah. Like you've like trained that muscle so that it knows, and you know what it feels like.
Yeah. And that's so like knowing what it feels like in your body.
Yeah.
So our invitation is for you to drop in and feel into what your relationship is with your intuition right now. And maybe play a bit with the imagination, the song shuffle, the which line or which lane of traffic, and just share with us what's going on.
Yeah.
So Ava and I have been really dropping in also to our program called Remembering Divine Union. And we are kicking off 11 days of devotion to Divine Union with some just amazing guests. And so we will put the link to sign up and get those videos for free with this episode. So that'll begin, the first video will come out September 18th. And so it's a little different format from the podcast, which is just audio, because it's the video. It's some of the guests that have been on the podcast, but we're really dropping into divine union and how the sacred masculine and the divine feminine really shows up. And it has been fun.
So fun. And we have two couples too. So it's really beautiful to talk to them about how they create union within themselves, but also how they do it within their relationship. Mm-hmm. And so that's really another like added layer that I think was really fun to tap into.
Yeah, we've got some men, we've got some women, and we've got a couple of couples. And it was so fun just for us to jam with these people who we love and respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, so you can go over to rememberingdivineunion.com to sign up for that. And yeah, anything else?
Just come play with us in our group, Honoring Divine Union. Like that's where our conversations are going to be happening. And we love playing and engaging and connecting with fellow sisters around all these things. So, let's just keep this going.
Yeah, so that's our Facebook group, Honoring Divine Union, which is a great place to share, how things are coming up for you. All right, everyone. Have a magical day.